Welcome to basically what people call the No BS podcast, but it is mega success where we evaluate both sides of every truth. And today we're going to talk about Charlie Munger. We are going to talk about news that is a little bit shocking. We may be at the end of the road or the beginning of disaster. So stay tuned for this podcast. My name is JT Foxx. This is my CEO, Francie. And Mega Success is really our flagship yearly event that was, in essence, basically created with some of the biggest billionaires and celebrities from all over the world and millionaires and entrepreneurs around the world. But we decided to, in the notion of what has made me very successful in Francie is no BS. So let's get straight into it as well. You could also listen to past podcasts that we've done. And the idea here is you need to sharpen your business acumen. I think that's a big mistake that people do is they don't sharpen. They don't understand it. They say, it's bad news. I don't want to listen to. By having a very strategic business acumen, you will be able to talk to people intelligently. You will be able to become better at marketing, branding, and more importantly, be able to come up with better business strategy. That is why I read literally over 40 newspapers all over the world every single day. How are you, Pat?
I'm great. I'm ready to get into the topics. Let's do this.
Okay, so first topic, Charlie Munger, which is Warren Buffett's business partner. I think they're 90-10. And so if you ever want 50-50, this is a perfect example of a business partnership, how Warren Buffett makes 90%. And they've been together like 150 years. And he is almost 100. Like he is 97 years old. He is 9. By the way, you like my No BS? You like my No BS logo? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. So the idea is Charlie Munger has decided to take a very substantial position into Alibaba. Alibaba is the Chinese company by Jack Ma. The stock was as high at the beginning of the pandemic as I believe $326. It's now at $113. Many of the Chinese stocks have crumbled, partly because of the Chinese crackdown on tech companies, and you're not the boss of China. We are as well. Jack Ma has been literally MIA since the failed merger. So it's a failed IPO of Alipay, which is their payment gateway system. It was going to be one of the biggest IPO. And it seems that Charlie Munger seems to say, hey, listen, I'm bullish on the future of China. So let me ask you, with all this negative sentiment, you have threats of war with Taiwan and China and a lot of things that are happening. Some people say humanitarian rights and everything that's happening, trade wars and all that stuff. Is this the right bet to bet? If you were to bet 10, 15 years from now, is China on top, the superpower over the world? Some people argue it may already be. Or is this, I don't know. What do you think?
I think Charlie Munger had a very successful career. I think in his late 90s, maybe he is not as sharp as he used to be. I don't know.
You may be right. He did say that, Bitcoin's a scam and they sort of really relate to the party in terms of technology and stocks, but, still worth billions of dollars.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Overall, you can't discount the amazing career, everything that has happened. Now in his late 90s, going very, very bullish, doubling down, on a Chinese-based company and China. I don't know. I feel like the world as a whole is, for things you said, humanitarian. There's just a lot of issues that I think the world is looking at China that doesn't necessarily support how they operate and some of the decisions that they make, that I don't know I would make the choice to be going so bullish on a Chinese-based business at this point. Also knowing Alibaba is basically this company where you can go and order products, right? And get them shipped. And a lot of people order their products off Alibaba and then resell them on Amazon, right? To make money. But you have more and more people that are trying to not buy products in China, that are trying, you have the supply chain issues and the delivery issues. I'll say this. I think I was surprised. And like I said, I think still very smart, but at some point you're just not as sharp as you used to be. On the flip side, maybe he knows something we don't.
I will say that the biggest problem people have is they underestimate China, right? If you take a look at what China was, which is a bunch of, farmers, where there was extreme poverty, not that there's still not poverty. I mean, China has literally become a superpower, whether people like it or not, whether they're increasing their nuclear arsenal, which is ironic. They want US and Russia to decrease it while they're increasing theirs. They stir the pot by building bases in the middle of the Chinese Sea. Like, there's a million things that they're doing, but they're also been innovative in technology. They're innovative in space. And if you just take a look at Alibaba, it's a big brand. You have to, everyone knows about it. And now you have brand. It used to be like Chinese brand. You didn't know the big Chinese brand, right? China Petroleum was the big brand that people know. Now you have Tencent, which is WeChat. You have Alibaba, which everybody knows. And I think goods or services are still cheap in China. There's still a demand to build them. Yes, there may be uncertainty, but if you take a look at a long-term play, you take a look at a 10-year play, Alibaba, I mean, the stock was trading at 3.2. They're not necessarily making less money. So I think it is a brilliant bet. But here's the issue. Is China anti-wealth? And there's been a large crackdown for whales, what they saw people gambling in Macau. So Macau is pretty much dead now. There's been a crackdown of anybody who sort of kind of goes above the Chinese Communist Party. And so my question is, and by the way, people say that President Xi is not big, he has to be the man. He has to be the center of attention. He is the man. Therefore, anybody who's trying to be bigger than him. And by the way, this is someone who sort of got voted in to be like, president for life. So his views are likely to stay for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So is there going to be a redistribution of wealth? Or is this just a temporary crackdown saying this is the way we work? That's the interesting play. But overall, with the amount of people there, Alibaba will always make money. And I cannot see it making less and less money. So it is a play. Now, the problem is that someone will argue on the other side, by Charlie Munger putting this and Alibaba, is this basically a vote of confidence for China, which creates other issues? And at the end of the day, I think it's not. It's a business thing. It's Alibaba. And by the way, Jack Ma is not really involved in Alibaba. He stepped away as well. So I think it's going to make money. I don't think it's going to lose money as well. But it's a very interesting timing with so much.
I mean, you literally had people boycotting Mulan, the movie, because it was filmed in China and of the China humanitarian rights.
Well, if Trump comes back, and by the way, right now, according to as we stand, if there was to be a presidential race tomorrow,
isn't he leading the polling?
He is leading, but who knows? I don't trust any polls. So, but here's the thing too. If it's him and DeSantis, I think they win. If it's him versus DeSantis, I don't know what's going to happen because that's a toss-up because there's still a lot of people loyal. I think Biden will run again. I think Kamala Harris is completely useless. I love when people were like, yeah, man, all this when they said that, because you could tell there wasn't that. Like, let me tell you something about Joe. Now, Joe and I haven't been to the border in a long time, it's just one time because it's so far, So anyways, let's move on to the next topic of conversation. Goldman Sachs says crypto Bitcoin could go up to 100,000 as long as it's treated as the new gold. There's only certain limited supply of gold. There is obviously a certain amount of play of how much Bitcoin can be mined. And so is it going to go to 100,000? People thought it would be this year. It hit the high.
What are Goldman Sachs' interests in crypto?
They probably started a fund. They probably started a crypto fund.
Because that's my question. Because if I'm Goldman Sachs and I have heavy interest, heck yeah, I'm going to be telling the world the potential and right, because what's going to happen is all the people are like, oh, I need to get in crypto, and then that helps boost the price. I think here's the reality. Nothing is actually backed by anything. We trade paper that is supposed to be backed by gold somewhere. There's not freaking the gold that's backing up the paper that I'm trading. Right? Like that's not, they just clearly we know in the past 2 years, the government just prints more paper. They didn't mine more gold to hold the value of the more paper that they're printing. So yeah, there's a limited supply of Bitcoin on the blockchain to be mined, and it's not finite, but like, and I'm not anti crypto or anti Bitcoin at all. I'm not anti it at all. But the reality is, like, there is zero tangibility, right? And there's people that have Bitcoin that can't freaking get it out of their wallet because people are like, I need this verification and this verification. So who gets that and what even is it? And it's not even anything.
It happened to be one of my earlier wallets. Now I got USB drives, but.
No, but I mean, it wasn't Bitcoin, but I had Litecoin or something that I couldn't get out or sell. And that was just a loss because whatever I had it with just decided, no, you're not actually the person. So like, how secure is that really? And you know, that's an issue, and you have people scamming, right? I think the issue with crypto is it's so easy right now to scam people that it's going to take one major thing for people to really be like, wait a minute, what is this and what are we doing? Whether it's a terrorist attack that can't be traced anywhere.
Correct. That's a terrorist attack, I think. And that's where there's some regulation because people are going to use it as you see. And there's only 7% of the people are adopting crypto. And also everybody wants to claim the next crypto capital, blockchain capital, New York, Miami, like, Puerto Rico.
Could it go to 100,000? Maybe. But I will say this. People still don't want to put the card to use Apple Pay, right? There's still people.
Apple Pay is the best.
But there's people. Yeah.
You got to
I will say that I haven't actually used it in a store.
Oh, what?
But I use it like for
online.
I use it online.
I tell you, next store, use it. Because literally, I'm on the phone with somebody. Like, I'll be on the phone with you, put you on speakerphone, go like this, go beep, and then it's actually like so easy. Like you know how many times I left my wallet at home? Like, I was like, I left my wallet at home because it's on there. Which, you know.
But my point is,
hold on, let me get my library card. My vaccine card is a library card.
The adaptation of Apple Pay, which is so simple, right? To then look at where is the adaptation of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency going to have to be for the valuation to be able to be that high. And I think that is I'm not saying never, but that is a far road to be traveled down.
It's a very good point. I mean, here's the problem. I have a lot of it. I never thought it'd go to 60. I have this, whatever happens, happens. I'm not going to touch it like a lot of crypto people. And it is what it is. And I'm just going to close my eyes. And if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. And I won't sweat it. And if it goes to 500,000, then it is what it is. But the people that are crypto are hardcore believers. And I think now the issue is crypto is mainstream. Now, of course, there's a lot of factors, unregulation. Is it a security or not? There's a lawsuit against Ripple in the United States because Ripple started the coin in the United States. They sold it. A lot of people bought, and now there's a lawsuit saying it's security, as opposed to a lot of the cryptos are not in the United States. They're done outside the United States. You got Dubai becoming literally almost a center. If you really think about that, I think Dubai is the capital of crypto. A lot of crypto exchanges are going there. They're very friendly to crypto. And it might take someplace like an adoption like a Dubai that has a global audience to say, hey, we're going to use it as coin. But there's also uncertainty, right? Here's the difference with crypto. Let's say you pay me $100 in crypto, right? Well, that 100 could be worth 90 tomorrow, right? And so if I'm expecting a fixed income, it fluctuates. And let's say I pay you in crypto and then it crashes like 3 days later, you just lost 25%. And by the way, you need to pay. And
that's the challenge.
Right. But you need to, by the way, you're paying the taxes, by the way, on the amount that I gave you, right? So here's the thing. If I pay your salary, let's say I pay you like $10 an hour, and that's like you work 100 hours a week, so call it $1,000, and crypto drops 30% to $700. You have to pay the taxes on the $1,000 that I gave you on the day. So that's another thing that people have not. And there's a lot of people, the population is getting older. You got baby boomers. And so these are people, they're going to want their fixed income. They want to know how much money I have, not fluctuates. And that's why it's never going to be mainstream the way it is, because the currency fluctuates too much. Unless they have it's called Bitcoin stable. It is what it's worth, but that would be too weird and too odd. So it's interesting. I mean, listen, it makes for great conversation as well. And let's go to the final point. The final point that I want to bring up here today, and it's actually a good one too. So obviously tennis is a big thing, the Australian Open. Australia has been draconian. Melbourne suffered some of the worst lockdowns in the world. And now they're reopened up. Now their cases are blown up, which the argument that lockdowns are not effective. Canada's, locking down. America had 1 million cases. And Australians have been pretty strict. You need to be vaccinated to go see tennis. You need to vaccinate to go some restaurants. Very, very tough, very, very restrictive. Some argue very draconian. And so there's this Australia Open. And so Rafa Nadal and Roger Federer will not be there. And then you have, Novak Djokovic, who is ranked the #1 tennis player in the world. He is tied with Nadal and Federer for the highest numbers of majors. And if they 20, if he were to win, in essence, would literally be the greatest tennis player of all time. Some people might argue that Federer is, but
by default, because the other two aren't there.
Right. Well, but it doesn't matter. People don't look at that. They'll look at how many majors you won. And by the way, there are some that he might not have been there that they won. So that it goes both ways. Okay. So I'm a big Roger Federer fan. I love Roger. It's just so cool. So non-fluffy and flashy. Okay. And so in Australia, basically people thought he wouldn't be able to go because he is an anti-vax. We understand he got COVID 6-8 months ago at a party with his wife. And he literally got a medical exemption to play. Australians are going crazy about it. Obviously, so the question is it fair? Clearly, he was an anti-vax. Clearly, he said he would never get vaccinated as well. And then all of a sudden, they're now letting him in. Is it because tennis took precedence because there's nobody else going? Why are they making, and by the way, the tennis term is in Melbourne. And Andrews, who's the premier there, has been the one that's been the most draconian, which is what's pissing people off the most. Australians are going crazy. Let me ask you, is this fair?
Guess what? Life's not fair. That's what
Life's
I have
not
to
fair.
Say.
That should be a podcast.
Well, I mean, life's not. I mean, it's the truth. And we can sit here and say, is it fair? Is it not fair? Here's the reality. He is an athlete who is a tennis star. Are they allowing spectators for the event?
Only if they're vaccinated.
Okay. Who probably is going to pull in audience, which pulls in revenue, which hasn't been happening because you got all this stuff locked down. And I'm here to give everyone a little bit of a reality check. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it doesn't matter, because unfortunately, everyone doesn't play by the same rules. Life is not fair, and everyone's not on an equal playing field. And that's the reality, right? If it was Joe Schmo, it doesn't matter because nobody's going to watch him play tennis. So who cares? And it's because it's somebody who's good, who's going to draw audience, who's going to make it more of an event. They're going to let it be okay because it probably benefits the city, benefits the tournament, benefits that territory of Australia to let it happen. So they're going to let it happen. And that is unfortunately the way the world works.
Just for the record, apparently there was 2 independent medical board that approved it. I'm going to say this, it's a double standard. And I can tell you why people who are vaccinated, who, by the way, don't want to get vaccinated. And I think it's clear that some people want to get vaccinated because they can't travel or they can't go anywhere. And I think it creates a double standard. You have New York City that will not allow Kyrie Irvin, the basketball star for the Nets, to play in New York City because he is unvaccinated. I think it creates a double standard. I think it sets a horrible message. Rodgers, who is the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, said the same thing, medical exemption. And the NFL turned out to be, it's bullshit. I think if there was more transparency about here was the medical exceptions, but then you sort of write into HIPAA laws, not that it's called HIPAA, but like confidentiality. And I think it's a double standard. Because by the way, but let me ask you a question. Let's say you travel to Australia and let's just say you have a relative that's dying and you're not vaccinated and you try to get a medical exemption. It's almost with certainty that you wouldn't get approved, even though you had all these.
No, I wouldn't. because nobody gives a shit about me.
That's the point, but they should listen to this podcast more. They should come to the founders. They should
like
do business
that. And it's like, it's not about is it okay or not okay? Is it fair? Is it not fair? Unfortunately, that's the way the world operates.
This is a debate show, not it is what it is, and just deal with it, because what be the point of listening?
I understand that, but like we sit here and like we sit here and act like we're like shocked or surprised, and it's like
I am surprised about this one though, because of Australia. Listen, this was a place.
Yeah, but didn't you say the other two people already weren't going to the tournament?
Correct,
You get to a point where it's like, what are they going to have?
But this is a guy. This is a guy in Australia that would shut down.
Tournament?
By the way, this was a guy that would shut down if there are like 5 cases for 2 weeks and 6 weeks. Like listen, Melbourne suffered, and they didn't have that many COVID cases.
Totally, but like
worst lockdown.
Let's look at it. Let's look at it. CDC 6 months ago. Quarantine 10 days. Now it's like 5 days. Now it's like no days. Now it's like do whatever the heck you want.
Here's the thing too. There is no trust and there is no transparency, which is why everyone.
No, of course not. Okay. And here's, it's like everyone's making their own rules. Everyone's doing whatever they want. And I promise you, the reason that it is happening is because there is a financial benefit to make it happen. So that's why it's happening.
In Australia. Yeah. Perhaps.
If there wasn't a financial benefit, it wouldn't be happening.
But here's the thing too, the sponsors, I don't know, is there sponsors tied to if they're going to come? Do they think people are not going to come? I think this is going to create more boycott. Maybe it's not. And maybe the fact that we're just talking about it will create that. Will he get booed or not booed?
Melbourne are just excited to go somewhere.
Probably so. So that's it for today's No BS Mega Success. There is both sides of the issue, and then there's life is not fair, according to Francie as well. Big favor, if you guys want to come and attend the founders and literally watch me and Francie do business with billionaires and some of the world's most successful people, the link is below, or you can go to jtfox2xfounders.com. It's free. And let's find a ways. I love that I'm entertaining a lot of people here. But if I can fund your deals or do deals with together or learn from each other, to me, that's much more valuable. Yes, we're here to entertain, but the idea is how can we all collaborate and learn? Francie, do you have any final thoughts you want people to do before we go?
Just don't forget, give us feedback. Let us know what you think. And maybe if you have some topics you want us to debate, let us know. Try to give us a 5-star rating. Leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening. So
we are adding this on YouTube, which we don't normally do because we're not sometimes dressed for that. Sometimes we're both in pajamas when we do our podcast, or top, we look good, bottom, we don't, or I haven't done my hair or all that. So if you're on YouTube as well, press the like button. Comment in the comment section, please. It's appreciated. Doesn't cost anything. Get some feedback. And even if you don't like us, still comment because it helps the algorithm. So there you go. We'll see you next time. You can also watch past shows. Remember, success is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And we hope to see you at the next Mega Success because like minds always attract. We'll see you next time.